Hey there, it's the Jew from the Chew on This podcast, letting you know you can leave comments, questions, and suggestions a number of ways. Reviews and comments are appreciated on iTunes and YouTube, and you can check out our daily postings on Facebook. Our Twitter feed and Instagram is at Chew on This Pod, and of course, as always, you can email us directly at chewonthispodcast@gmail.com. So there you have it, folks. Short of a bat signal or an Avengers card, there's all the ways you can let us know how big of a nerd you truly are. Enjoy and chew on this podcast. Welcome to episode 30 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
So we had the pleasure of watching Finding Nemo again last week, and we just got back. Well, you just got back from, and I just got back from watching Finding Dory.
Yeah, this is our first. I don't really necessarily want to say it's an immediate reaction to it, but it's actually pretty close to immediate reaction.
Pretty close.
It's one of the few rarities that we get where we finish a movie, don't have to wait a day or a couple days to actually review the movie. So this is just basically winging the fact that we just walked out of the theater, came home, and just turned on the podcast to record.
Yeah, absolutely. That is kind of a first for us. Usually one of us has seen it in one day, the other one the next day.
Right, so this podcast might be all over the fucking place.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, yeah, I really didn't take any notes, or I just went into it, watched the movie, came straight home, like you said, plugged in my thing, and we're ready to roll. But I have to say my initial reaction is that I was surprised that I wasn't as emotional as I thought I was going to be. And I thought the storytelling was good and the animation was mind-blowingly good, but I felt like overall I wasn't touched as much as I was when I first watched the first movie. I just thought it was like really entertaining. I mean, better than like Good Dinosaur, better than some of their other movies that they've done. But I just thought it was okay. Like, I didn't love it. I mean, I like it a lot, but I just wasn't like blown away emotionally, or like, I think a couple times I laughed out loud and recognized a lot of voices and whatnot. But anyway, my initial reaction was I just thought it was okay.
For me, I think I'm on the same boat as far as emotional, which for me, emotional wasn't for not being emotional. That for me means I didn't cry like a little baby in the movie, which I thought I was going to.
Me too.
When I saw the third trailer, and in the third trailer, Nemo turns to Marlin and says, does this mean we have to say goodbye to Dory? And I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers, you're doing it in the trailer, because I got emotional in the trailer. I was like, oh, Pixar's gonna get me again, And so I wasn't like, I didn't weep like a little baby, like in Up or Toy Story 3 or, In and Out, or Inside Out.
Mm-hmm. You didn't laugh during the game. You didn't cry during the game movie with
Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline. Yeah, the movie's awesome.
So I didn't weep in this, but at the same time, it's this is how good Pixar is. When I walk away and I'm upset that I didn't cry like a little baby, and I think something's wrong with the movie. There's nothing really wrong with this movie. Oh, by the way, spoilers.
Yeah, big
but
time
like
spoilers.
towards the end, it got a little ridiculous. Like when they were driving the truck, I was like, okay, this is like one spectacle after another for fish.
Yeah,
because all the things that they pull off in this movie, you look back at Finding Nemo and you're like, well, why the fuck didn't they do that in the first place? Like if they can stop a truck on a highway, why the fuck can they go into a dentist office?
yeah.
So that kind of rang in my mind. But at the same time, of course, you got to suspend suspend belief that
Right.
it's talking fish, but it to me it got a little bit tiny ridiculous towards the end, especially with the whole truck scene. But you're kind of just you're invested and you're there. But there's really nothing wrong with the movie. It's just really good storytelling. Um, really, I want to use the word emotional in the sense of like you feel for the characters and then the moments and everything that they're saying. But again, that's how good Pixar is. I feel like I feel like it's not that great as Finding Nemo or the others because I didn't cry, and that's like weird
Right.
to say. But again, there's nothing wrong with this movie, so I'm kind of at a loss. Like, if you said like, "What's wrong with Finding Dory?" I couldn't tell you one thing other than the fact that I didn't cry.
Yeah,
That's weird.
that is kind of weird. I mean, when I left there, I turned to my son and I was just like, you know what, have made this movie a little bit better for me, I think, is if they, it felt like Pixar was pulling their punches at the end. I felt like that Dory should have went away with her parents. They should have left, and then that would have, and they should have said their goodbyes. It would have been sad and all that stuff, but that's just how life is, But instead, they went with the happy, we're all going back home, which is way across the ocean. I mean, they always show you the journey going there, but they never show them going back. But yeah, I think for me, I think they just kind of pulled their punches at the end. I mean, it was building up to something, and all it was really building up to was, oh, we're all back together now. Now we've got a new family with us, and now we're going to take this squid with us or octopus, and we're all going to go home. So I don't know. I think maybe they just kind of missed an opportunity there to say, like, hey, sometimes you have to say goodbye, and sometimes you have to grow up, and this is a new point in your life, and things like that. But whatever. I mean, you could call that nitpicking. I thought the movie as a whole was very entertaining. I didn't hate this movie at all. I didn't think it was a piece of junk like Warcraft, but I think it's just kind of like not that like Pixar phoned it in. I can't quite grasp it either. I can't quite like. I
I
think
really, dude, seriously, I really, because what you just said, like I was waiting for it. I was waiting for that gut punch moment, and nobody dies in this movie. I don't think. I only saw it just
no,
recently, but
no.
nobody dies, right? Okay, so yeah, there's, dude, I think we are nitpicking the fact we're actually nitpicking a Pixar movie because it did not make us cry. Like,
I know it's so ridiculous.
granted, like I'm in my late 30s, you're in your early 40s, and we're grown men, and we're complaining and nitpicking about a cartoon movie that did not make us cry. Like,
It's because we that's like we come to expect it though. It's like it
yeah,
as soon as I saw the shells on the ground, I was like, oh, that's cool. But that's as big as it got for me emotionally. I didn't go
right.
like, and then when she saw her parents, I thought, oh God, I'm gonna well up. I didn't well up at all. I just kind of went, oh, okay, cool. Like she found her parents. And that was it for me. There was no other emotional pull than that. Now, if they would have like had to say goodbye to her, like there's a thing where they're behind glass and like one person's gonna go the other way, then one's gonna go the other way, and that's the end of it. Like they have to say their goodbyes. That would have been heart wrenching. But they just kind of they went with the safe ending, you know. Um, and then I don't know. I mean, that's all I really have to say about that. But
Did
we
you
can
find
get
it weird that like that all the fish, like all the healthy fish, go to Cleveland? Is there something about Cleveland that I didn't know about
I thought
with
Cleveland's a.
fish?
I shouldn't say anything bad about Cleveland just in case we have Cleveland listeners, but like I've always heard Cleveland isn't like a great place to live, but I mean you could say that about anywhere. So
Right.
yeah,
I
I
just
thought that
thought
was
it
kind
was
of
because
I thought it was
they had
odd
like
too
shitty sports
because
teams.
right. I just thought it was odd because it was in the middle of the United States. I'm like, that's nowhere near water. Like,
Yeah.
why would you
Yeah.
send them there? Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I didn't
kind of
know.
weird.
I didn't know if there was like some like special aquarium in Cleveland because I don't really know. But I just thought it was like a weird place that like they're going to Cleveland. And I was like, that's interesting and so far from water.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was kind of
maybe that was the
weird.
point. Maybe that was the point that it was like in the middle of, the middle of the United States and nowhere near a major body of water.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that could be. That could have been a running joke. I don't know. I'd have to look into it now, like go on the internet and look. But they did mention, Morro Bay, which that's an actual place. They didn't say the Monterey Bay Aquarium, um, which is a pretty well known aquarium in San Francisco Bay. Not San Francisco Bay, but you know what I'm saying. Morro Bay,
Monterey
or
Bay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Monterey Bay. Um, so yeah, I mean, the storytelling was good, and all the animation was good, and I do like the addition of the some of the new characters that they had, and they're
Yeah.
very very recognizable voices too. The the nearsighted whale, which that's the girl who plays Deandra, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Your name is
Sweet
Kate. Is it Caitlin Olsen?
Caitlin Olsen, yeah, Sweet D. Um, and then Bailey was played by, I think, Jim Gaffigan. That sounded like him, the comedian who always talks about hot pockets. Um,
Okay.
and then of course Ed O'Neill, the great Ed O'Neill, man, playing the octopus. He was fantastic. Married with Children. Um,
Idris Elba was in it.
Idris Elba, yeah. What was he playing again?
He was the big seal, the big black seal.
Oh, that's
There was
right.
two seals. There was the bigger black one, and then there was like the middle tier brown one, and then the one that looks like he was retarded.
Yeah, what was that, like Gerald or
I don't
Reginald or something? I
remember.
can't remember.
Yeah,
That
he
was that
was
was
retarded.
yeah, because I remember in Nemo it was the seagulls going mine mine mine, but in this it was the otters.
Off.
Yeah, off. Love that. That
And if
was
you've
great.
ever been to like San Francisco Bay and off the pier, you would find that very funny.
Yeah, that's. I mean that I thought was pretty clever. I was like, oh, that's what they're saying. Get off the rock. Yeah, it was. It was pretty funny. Yeah. What else could I talk about this?
Well,
So
let's break down the beginning, because the beginning was you get Baby Dory, and oh my god, how adorable was Baby Dory?
Baby Dory
Baby
was so
Dory.
cute.
I was like, let's just make a movie about Baby Dory. Let's just spend this whole time just talking about Baby Dory, because whoever the voice of Baby Dory was, I got the same like oh my god, I want to pinch that imaginary character's cheeks. The same as like Boo, whoever did the voice of Boo from Monsters Inc.
Oh gosh,
Had
yeah.
the same thing. So whoever that voice was, well done, because that was adorable beyond all belief.
Yeah, they did
Um,
such a good job with the voice on that character
who
for
was the
sure.
parents? Do you know off the top of your head who the parents were? I could have swore that was like
I
the dad from like American Pie, but I could be
Yeah,
dead
Eugene
wrong.
Levy was his dad. It even looked like him. The woman though, I don't know who his mom was. I don't know.
Diane Keaton, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and Bailey was actually Ty Burrell.
Oh, Ty. Oh God, Ty Burrell. Why did I say Jim Gaffigan? Kind of sounded like him, but
Uh,
okay, Ty Burrell. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a
Did
lot
you
of
notice a
sense.
different? Did you notice a different voice for? We know in the podcast we talked about a voice for
Ye-
Nemo. Did you notice
I
a
didn't notice
different
it. I didn't notice a
voice? I
difference at
didn't.
all. Honestly,
I actually didn't even think about it till now, but I know it's a different
well, it
guy
has
or
to be because
kid.
that kid would be in his late 20s now. It's 13 years later. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I really didn't notice a difference. I was like, wow, and of course, Albert Brooks is fantastic again as Marlin. And Ellen DeGeneres is give her an Academy Award for Dory. My God, she's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
but voice acting again is just absolutely stellar with Pixar. Just across the board, they always pick the right people to voice these characters, and they're all very memorable. Um, yeah, just a.
I thought it was interesting that there was like two storylines here. They
Mhm.
actually there was a chance for Marlin to actually grow in this movie as well again, um, which was kind of interesting. I thought that it wasn't all about Dory. That Marlin's story was not completed in Nemo. That he still didn't let go.
Yeah, he didn't. It seemed that he had a pretty good relationship with his son. Like it really like
Right.
it had evolved, and that's good. But his relationship with Dory, he was doing the whole like I got to keep an eye on her all the time. I can't.
Right. It was like but it was almost like, man, it was almost like at a certain point in time, it was like he transferred whatever he had with Nemo over to Dory, but there was also almost like a resentment, but at the same time fear of losing her,
Yeah, like he was kind of mean there at one
because he
point. He was
snaps at
mean.
her.
Yeah.
Right, right. But but it's revealed later on that it's because he doesn't know how to voice his emotions or whatever, and basically just took it out on her. That he knew that if she ever found her parents, that Dory would have to go
Right.
away, and that's what he was afraid of the whole
Right.
time.
And again,
So that's multiple layers
yeah.
too. Like I don't even know how, like, I know my 4-year-old didn't get it. She was a little confused on everything that was going on because there's a lot of emotional things going on in
Yeah.
here, regardless if they made us cry or not. But there's a lot of like different layers to what's going on here. Like definitely a lot of layers. Like I would have lost my shit if like you could see like inside out of
Oh my
Marlon's
God.
brain.
Yeah.
Basically, that would have been hilarious. I want to skip a little ahead because I don't want to forget, but I unfortunately did not stay for the end
Oh yeah,
credits.
I did. Yeah.
So what? Yeah, I know you did. So what was the
Well, they
end
kind of
credits?
continue the ridiculousness of the whole thing, but see, basically, it showed. It was neat how they segued into it because it showed uh, Ed O'Neill's character Hank as the squid going in and out of different scenery, and then it went
Right.
outside, and then it started at the bottom of the ocean floor, and it slowly went up the ocean floor in the open ocean part where all the fish are, I guess, pushed out into. And so as it goes higher and higher, you see more and more fish and colorful fish and all that. Then it gets all the way to the top, and there's that rock, and the two otters are on there, and the one crazy one is trying to sneak up on them, but as soon as he gets to the rock, they go off, and he like falls back into the water, and then all of a sudden, all these bags of fish pop up to the surface, and it's all the fish from the first movie that escaped. The
Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
and they say something, but I can't remember because people kind of went nuts. And then this boat like flies by and scoops them all up and takes off, like they're gonna go to the quarantine, because inside the bags it's all completely algae, but you can make out all the different fish. And so yeah, it's the same.
Wait, they should be dead.
Right. That's
They
that's
should
what
be
I said.
dead because it's been a year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was the ridiculousness of it. I looked at my son, I was just like, they should be dead. And he was giggling because he thought it was cool, but I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And like I'm all logical about it. I'm like a squid driving a car, I didn't get mad at that, but when they popped up out of the water, I was like, wait a minute. So yeah, but that it was a major callback, and a couple of the characters in there said something, and then they got whisked away. So I'll have to wait till Blu-ray to find out exactly what they say, or watch it on YouTube some point. But
Yeah, they should have been dead within like 2 hours.
pretty much you don't get any oxygen. It was all sealed. And here we're all being all technical and stuff, but whatever.
Yeah, that's a scientific version of Finding Dory.
Yeah, but I would have to say that I think they really need to stop making these. I think it's you watch them back to back. It's a good bookend. Um, it's a good 4 hour movie, and just leave it at that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I love all the characters. I love Dory. I love Nemo. I love Marlin. But it, for me, unlike Toy Story, I can see there's a continuation. Like, even though they said Toy Story 3 was done, like I could see them continuing it with the girl that they got left with. I forget her name.
I can't
Um,
remember either.
but
Yeah,
I don't remember her name. But the Toy Story 4 is supposed to be about them finding Bo Peep. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because, it wasn't really hinted. It was basically in your face that like Woody and Bo Peep had a thing going
yeah.
on. And of course Toy Story 3 ends with Buzz and Jesse kind of, getting it on or whatever toys do to fuck. However toys fuck. I'm not sure how they do that, but they did it. And so it's kind of like Woody. I'm at right now because there's no like footage or anything. I just imagine like Woody like watching Jesse and Buzz getting on. He's like, "Fuck, I had that too. Where the hell did she
Where the
go?" Or
hell did
whatever.
she go? Yeah, they got rid of that toy. I mean, whether they sold it on eBay or did Craigslist or lost it, I don't know. Because the way Toy Story 3 kind of
Yeah,
begins, some of the toys you find out have been, over the years have
yeah. It's
disappeared.
basically the core, but it's basically the core. But like Bo Peep was kind of the core during like she kind of a little bit got phased out in Toy Story 2
Hmm.
because she stayed behind and didn't go after Woody or whatever, help looking for Woody. So everybody that was the core of Toy Story 2 was basically left over to be in Toy Story 3.
Right.
But I love those characters. I don't know. Something about Toy Story that, like, again, we said before that uh, if it keeps getting better and better, like, I'll always go and watch those movies. Like, I don't ever want them to stop making Toy Stories unless, like, Michael Bay directs one. So, but
Yeah, even
if they keep getting those guys to do it, like Lasseter, did he write the last one? Or
I
did he
don't know.
direct the
I
last one?
think
I don't think he
I think
did.
those guys are involved in every single one of those. They're super good storytellers. Like that was their first baby, and like each one
Yeah,
has gotten better.
Lasseter. I think Lasseter might have done it or did some of it because did you know the story about Toy Story 2?
That was supposed to be directed to video, and then they ended up finding out that the story was really good, and so they just kind of beefed it up, put more money into it, beefed it up, took a little more time, and then brought it out into theaters. But I remember that was supposed to be direct to DVD.
Yeah, so Disney wanted to do what Disney was doing at that point in time, was just make bullshit sequels direct to DVD.
Right.
And Lasseter caught wind of it and saw what they were doing to his baby, basically. And he was not happy about it, and basically rewrote the entire story in in like a weekend or so, or a week or something like that. It's on one of their like what's it called? I think it's a documentary. It's called like Pixar, I think it
Oh, I'd
is, or
like to
something like
check that
that. It's
out.
just a documentary. Yeah, it's just a documentary about Pixar, and basically he and the original team, I think, rewrote Toy Story 3. I'm sorry, Toy Story 2, because of what Disney was trying to do
Well, Toy Story
to
3
that.
came out of I remember the guy before Bob Iger. What was that guy's name? He was CEO. He pissed off the Pixar people because he offered him a really lowballed him, for it to re-up with Disney. And so Pixar said, "Well, screw you guys. We're just going to do our own thing." And then
Fuck, I forget that guy. But didn't he always come out and
Eisner.
like Eisner? That's right,
Okay, the
Eisner. Sorry.
guy I never liked that guy because he almost screwed Pixar. He was the guy that really almost ruined everything because he tried to strike a deal with them that was really lowball. Like Pixar is like really, I mean, makes amazing films one after another, and why wouldn't you not give them, full, whatever money, whatever that they wanted. So Pixar said, you know what, we're just gonna make movies on our own. We're fine, and we'll find someone else to distribute it. And Walt Disney said, okay, well, all the movies that we've made with you so far, we own that. We can make Toy Story 3, we can make whatever we want. And so they started making Toy Story 3. Like wrote the script, like started I think even animating all that stuff. And then Eisner stepped down and Iger came up and he went back to Pixar and said, "Look, we're sorry. Let's strike a new deal." And I think eventually they ended up buying Pixar for like $7.5 billion. And Toy Story 3 ended up being something completely different than what it was as well. Which thank God, the Pixar team are amazing. So
Yeah, basically he was only the screenwriter for Toy Story 3.
I thought
So he wasn't the
I
director.
thought Michael Arndt was the writer of Toy Story 3, or maybe he was one of the writers. He wrote.
Well, it's like he was probably one of them. There's always like multiple screenwriters, but the point is Lasseter didn't direct Toy Story 3. It was somebody else.
And then they hired Michael Arndt to write the first draft of Force Awakens.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And then it wasn't going the way that they wanted to, and then they went back to the well.
Yeah, with JJ and Kasdan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Disney, this year, I don't know what it is, dude, but this year they're just killing it. They're just, I mean, every single thing that they're putting out is doing ridiculously good.
Well, they have three of the. They have they have four of the four major properties right now. They
Yeah,
have Disney. They're Disney first of all,
right.
and Disney animation has come back in a big way with the last two movies they've done, but or three
With
movies like with Big
Tangled,
Hero
Tangled,
6,
Frozen,
Frozen,
yeah,
Tangled.
Zootopia.
What was it? Zootopia exactly. So Disney being Disney again, they have Pixar, they have Marvel, and they have Star Wars. Like the fuck, you don't need to do anything else ever
I
again.
know.
Like
Well, and
the only other
now,
thing they need to grab out. What else is there to grab out there?
well, now
DC.
they're turning their animated properties into live action, and those are doing gangbusters. So, uh, and then they have much more of those coming out. So this year, I think alone, what they have left, and they're not done. They're 6 months in. There's still 6 months left. They've got Doctor Strange, Rogue One, and they've got uh, there's an animated something I'm missing. Um, I don't know. They have three major films still to come the rest of the year, which is crazy. So yeah. Oh, Moana, the one with the Rock, the animated film
Hmm.
with the Rock. Yeah. So they're not done, and they've got what Beauty and the Beast in the pipeline next March. That's their next live action movie. So, and I'm sure I think Frozen 2 is being worked on. I know that Zootopia, I already know that they're working on a sequel for that. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you in $1 billion franchise already? Um, so, anyway, back to Pixar. they,
Or Finding Dory.
well, yeah, what I was going to say about Pixar is that when they're at their best, when they're creating something completely original. Um,
Yeah.
Now, with the exception of Toy Story, everything else, the original stuff is fantastic. So the sequel, I just hope, like every other company, I just hope they don't get sequelitis because already we're seeing prequels and sequels that just are not living up to the originals. And so it's really tough. Like, as much as good as Finding Dory is, I felt like if this movie came out 3 years after Finding Nemo, I think I probably would have liked it a lot more. It's just 13 years later, it's kind of like, I've seen so much stuff that this movie doesn't have anything extra that it can do to wow me or to like get me really excited. Um,
Yeah,
so
we should really say that it's not like we don't. We're saying that Dory is good, and right now to show you how good, it's sitting at 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
yes,
Finding Nemo is 99%. So you're relatively right in the same ballpark as the original. It's again like I think it's because it didn't make me fucking cry.
yeah, it's
I think for
weird.
me the 5% is making me cry.
Like
Like
I walked
because
out of there and I thought this is an 85% movie is what I thought. That was my feeling about it. If we're able to rate these things, is my feeling. I was like, this was 80. It was a good movie. It's not great, like crazy, excellent, great. I said, but it was good. It was really good. So I don't know. I mean, 94%. I don't know. I guess like it seems kind of high to me. But Finding Nemo at 99, it's a near perfect movie. I mean, you can't find anything wrong with that movie. And that 1%, I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. But Finding Dory, I don't know. I guess you could call it flaws. I don't really think it's got flaws. I just think that they really, for whatever reason, kind of pulled their punches at the end, and just did like this silly caper thing at the end. Oh, and did you notice also the way it ended? It just ended so abruptly. Like you're just sitting there.
with them just looking out in the
Yeah,
ocean.
it's like, yeah, because they said something and then it just immediately goes, the music started and then it just goes the end. And I was like, what? Like, okay. I thought there was something
There's
else.
really nothing left. There was really nothing left for them to do. I mean, it was once again Marlin like not trusting Dory, and it seemed like Dory had kind of not fixed her short-term memory loss, but coping with it better. Like her journey this time made her cope with her short-term memory loss a lot better and work at it harder than she ever did before.
So,
instead of relying on somebody else.
well, you kind of hit something there because that kind of, while that's there, it feels a little lost amongst all the weird caper shit that happens at the end. Because because if you look back at like not even that far back, Zootopia, for instance, and Zootopia just came out on DVD for God's sake, which is weird. It feels like that
Right.
movie only came out a couple months ago. Zootopia was able to tell a really, a decent story, but have all that extra stuff that made you like really be completely invested in the world and also in the characters and the situations because it's so close to like what it's like in the real world, with all the racism and gender, all that stuff. And in Dory, it felt like, I think, like in Nemo, they dealt with handicapped, I guess, a little bit. I mean, with the fin, and in this one, they kind of like, in the beginning of it, it felt like they were saying like, well, she's special, she is handicapped in the brains, she's not able to. We have to like be on her all the time, and and so they didn't let her like explore and stuff like that because they were afraid she's going to die. So some of those, like, I guess, story elements or whatever you want to call them kind of got lost a little bit. So, because she does have like a genuine, it's an issue, but you can kind of overcome those things and you can, utilize them for what they are, and realize like, hey, I'm never going to be, 100% or perfect or whatever, but I can still do things. Like they did push the whole, what would Dory do thing, which was kind of cool. I did like that. She would, that's how she would kind of build her confidence a little bit. Like, what would I do? And like, oh yeah, and then she'd figure out a way because she always
Well, I
did.
think that was highlighting, like, to the point of what you were saying. Her handicap is her short-term memory loss, but her strength is just going with the flow and basically
Just keep
going balls to
swimming.
the wall. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot more poignant than balls to the wall, but she, that's her strength, and it's actually her strength that carries her and Marlin and Nemo throughout the entire movie. So there's some there's some layers to this movie, and I think me and you are in the same boat where it's a if I saw this movie before Nemo, or if I never saw Inside Out, or I never saw Zootopia, or any of the Toy Story movies, this would probably be one of the best cartoons I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
ranking up there with like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's up there. So, and that's a testament to Pixar, because I'm looking. I kind of agree that it's like 94%. You're saying it's in like the high 80s.
Yeah. I think it's like 85 for me.
So I can agree that it's like 94%. Not, and I'm taking the fact that I took my daughter to her first opening night movie out of the equation. It is a really good movie, but because Pixar has set the bar so damn high, like, if I don't hit like all my emotions in a Pixar movie, I'm like disappointed. Like, in
Yeah.
a Pixar movie, I expect to laugh, I expect to cry, I expect to like get all warm and fuzzy. Like, I expect to run the gambit of every single emotion. Um, and they, and I didn't get the crying part of it in this one, and like my emotions are left a little like disappointed that I didn't hit all the bars that I should be hitting in a Pixar movie. So it's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that it's just an okay movie. It's just that Pixar, with Inside Out especially,
Hmm.
I mean, that movie is damn perfect. Like,
Yeah.
it's right up there with Nemo. It's right up there with like Toy Story 3.
Yeah. It's
Inside Out
so
is just
good.
that good. So, it's a step below that, but a step below those movies is still really fucking good.
Yeah. It is a really
Eh,
good movie.
I mean, it's like when you go watch a Marvel movie now, and you go to a movie that Marvel puts out and it's not Civil War. You're like, well, fuck, it's still better than anything DC put out. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, DreamWorks would fucking kill for a movie like this, for Finding Dory. it would kill for a movie like Finding Dory to have something rated this high. Any animated studio would love to have a Finding Dory. You know, it just so happens that Pixar has a shit ton of them.
Yeah, there's just probably a really good company to work with. These people like really work really well together, and they're really good at telling stories. I mean, that's the number one thing. I mean, I watched a few movies earlier, like in the last couple of years from DreamWorks, like Home and
Oh God.
Kung Fu Panda 3 and Train Your Dragon 2, and they don't hold a candle to anything Pixar's been doing, even their sequels, man.
How to
You
Train Your
know,
Dragon 2 is actually pretty good. I didn't
number
see
t-
Kung Fu Panda 3. I did see Home, and that was terrible.
yeah, I didn't like Home as much as
I
I
did
thought I
not
would,
believe
but
I did not believe mid-20s Rihanna was a 13-year-old girl.
yeah, I know. Um, no, How to Train Your Dragon 2, I had just a lot of problems with that movie because
Really?
yeah, because they gave away so much in the trailer that when I went to watch the movie, I wasn't surprised about anything that happened. It was really a bummer. It was a letdown for me.
I
Big
didn't
time
see it in the
letdown.
theater. I didn't see it
Oh,
in the theater, so like there was a lot of time that passed. I didn't really pay attention too much to the trailer, so when I actually finally saw it in my home, like I really enjoyed it. So I didn't have anything spoiled for me. So I really liked How to Train Your Dragon 2. It was better than the first one. Um, let's see, Home. I already said it sucked. What was the third movie that you said?
well, Kung Fu
Oh, Kung Fu
Panda
Panda
3,
3.
and
I
yeah,
didn't see that yet.
it's not. I mean, it's better than this. The second one was really weak. This one was all right. And now there's like this rumblings of like they've been trying to bring Shrek back for years, and I guess it's going to happen pretty soon. They're going to announce it or something like that. Um,
Yeah, but here's the problem with Shrek, and it's the problem with all these other type of TV shows that are out there that just fucking don't have a mute button to their casserole episodes, like, you know, to use one of our own things, but they don't have like Once Upon a Time, right? Let's just throw every fucking fairy tale into this storyline and just name drop everything. You know, Gotham, of course, fucking does it.
hmm
Um, and that's the problem with Shrek for me was like in the beginning it was kind of interesting where they were kind of taking it from this like fairy tale legend type thing
hmm
where all the fairy tales lived in this realm. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've never seen that before, you know? Kind of like when you go see, you know, Civil War, you're like, oh my God, it's Captain America
It
fighting
was
against, or you saw the first Avengers.
the first Shrek was like the anti Disney movie. It was
Yes, but it
really
had Disney
making fun of
characters in it because
yeah,
they were using the Han Christensen versions and not the Disney versions.
right.
So you saw Pinocchio there. You saw, what else? You
Pinocchio,
saw Sleeping Beauty, I think was there.
yeah,
You saw a bunch
Pinocchio,
of
Snow White.
you saw a bunch of like fairy tale characters in there, and you know the second one took it to a whole new level. But again, that joke gets kind of stale when you expect to throw all the shit in. It's like watching the first Naked Gun movie. You've never seen anything like that, or watching Airplane. You've never seen anything like that, and then you keep watching all the other like spin-offs and
Yeah,
like
it starts
when
to
you get
get
to
stale.
like
You're right.
right, especially when you get to like Scary Movie 4, you're like, all right, I'm just expecting this shit to happen, and then you're left with no substance. You know, you're because as the Shrek thing kept going, it was like, okay, now it's after they've gotten married. Now you got to meet the parents. Then the Shrek, they have a kid, and it's like, all right, this is kind of getting boring. There's nothing really new about it.
Yeah, by the time they got to the last one, it was really bad. That's why it was really refreshing, actually, when they made Puss in Boots. I mean, even though it wasn't a great movie, it was still pretty. I mean, it was entertaining because it was different. It was, following the cat around versus Shrek, so they didn't do all those Shrek antics, whatever that they do in those movies. But if they're going to reboot Shrek, they've got to do it in a way that, like you said, just gets rid of that element altogether and just does something completely different. So, but I don't know how you would
Just
do
do a
that.
good story. Just don't give me the gimmicks. And you know, the other thing also is like I could only take Eddie Murphy so many times in that same thing. Like
Yeah. Ugh.
he could not be more of a token donkey in that movie. Like
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
time you expect him to do the same thing over and over again, it got boring too. So I mean that's the difference between like Toy Story 3, right? Or Toy Story the movies. They basically start with like, okay, well, what's the evolution of these characters or the evolution of toys? And you're like, oh, that's interesting. Never thought of that. And then like when you know they said they weren't going to ever do another Toy Story, then they did Toy Story 3, and they're like, well, you know, what happens to your toys, you know, when you get older? And I'm like, oh fuck. Like that's a great story that I want to know because that was me. Like growing up, like I remember going to the basement and opening these cardboard boxes with all these toys that had been sitting there for years. So I thought that
Yeah.
was like a great story. So I'm a little worried about Toy Story 4, even though I'm excited for it, because like it kind of goes away from, it goes away from the evolution of the toys because they've already been through that entire evolution. Toy Story
Right.
3 was like they gave it to somebody else. So you could rehash some of that same stuff with the girl, which it wouldn't be, good. So they decided to go in a different route and try to find Bo Peep, which, it's okay. On paper so far, it's only like a one sentence synopsis.
Right.
So, but it is Pixar,
Well,
so they wouldn't go down that route if
well,
it
it's like,
wasn't worth it.
how do you end a story like that where they all get incinerated or put like all get put in a, in a cardboard box like they were gonna do? Like, how do you? I don't know. I mean, the evolution of them going to a girl who's going to utilize them all over again is fresh, but they can't keep passing those toys back and forth to other kids, and those toys are deteriorating over time. So
Right.
like it's at some point, they've got to kind of end have it like so, that's why I thought Toy Story 3 had just the most beautiful poignant ending of just about any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so it's like when they announced number 4, I was like, okay, well, they're only doing that because they made $1 billion, so I guess it's inevitable. But I just really hope that they take the care to like make a really good movie.
Well, I mean,
But
every single one of those movies got better and better.
yeah,
And like Toy
that's what
Story 3 was basically
worries
like a
me.
perfect ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the characters. I love all the characters of Toy Story. And yes, I want to see them in a new movie, but there's a part of me that's like, how can you beat 100%? Which I think that's what Toy Story 3 is.
I wouldn't doubt it. You don't. You just kind of we love those characters so much, and you have to create a story that's going to utilize or do something a little different.
Wait a
um
minute. Toy Story 3 is at 99%. Who the fuck are the 1%?
that's
Seriously.
what I'm the same people that hate fish. I don't know, people
What are
that
these
they don't
people
hate.
don't like toys? What the fuck? That's
You're
ridiculous.
yeah,
I mean,
you're
Finding Nemo is a near perfect movie, but Toy Story 3 is like basically a perfect movie. Like there's nothing wrong with
yeah.
Toy Story 3.
Well, what's Inside Out at? I mean, Inside Out to me is a perfect movie,
Inside Out, let me see.
which I hope they don't
98%.
okay. So I hope they don't ever make another Inside Out. They don't ever need to, because it's so good the way it is. Just like Up is fantastic from beginning to end. They don't ever have to make a sequel or anything. The only movie that I was actually surprised that they haven't made a sequel to was Bug's Life, because that one could warrant a sequel. They could do something different with that, but I don't know if anyone cares now at this point. It's been 18 years since the last one came
No, I
out.
mean basically that movie. I mean, I liked A Bug's Life, and many consider it like one of the weaker ones of their earlier stuff. But I really liked it. But basically, that's just a take on Aesop's tale. Like that's all that is.
Yeah,
Is like an updated version of Aesop's tale or Aesop's fable.
yeah,
The one movie that I thought was ripe for a sequel that they still haven't done or it's in the works was The Incredibles. I
yeah.
mean,
I've heard
like,
that's in the works too.
but no, like the rumor was it's been in works for years, but now we actually have confirmation from the guy himself. What the hell's his name?
Brad Bird.
Brad Bird, right? That he actually is working on Incredibles 2 after he did Tomorrowland. So,
Yeah,
but I couldn't believe that it took that long for him to do it because, I mean, that out of all the movies that we've seen from Pixar, that one was perfect for a sequel.
yeah. I'm surprised too. I think he kind of just went off and did like his first live action movie was Mission Impossible, and then Tomorrowland was like kind of his baby from beginning to end, and I didn't like that movie at all.
It
Um,
was a little weird.
yeah, in fact, I don't even think I finished it. I think I fell asleep at the end or something like that. But I didn't like it. So when he was announcing he was going to go back to Incredibles, I was so excited, because right now superheroes are just, I mean, through the stratosphere right now, and that movie was so good. I mean, it's still different, but it's a superhero movie, so they could totally do it, and it would work. It would be totally fine. And to get that cast back, that cast was stellar. So I mean, my favorite line still in The Incredibles was, where's where's my super suit, woman? I just love that. Um, so yeah, anyway, Pixar is just what could you say, man? Just they're so awesome. So I mean, I mean, right now they're in sequel territory. I don't know if that's because they're running out of original ideas, or if they're just like, well, let's revisit these characters. We have great ideas for them. I don't know what, but I would like to see some more original material because Inside Out is just fucking incredible. So
Yeah,
I just
there's nothing under Lasseter's belt, um, all the way up until 2018, where there's a different Pixar movie. I mean, what he's got lined up is basically Cars 3 and Toy Story 4. That's all that's listed
uh,
for him, really. So,
and see on the other side, Disney Animated is doing all completely original stuff, with the exception of Frozen 2, I think, which that was inevitable because that's a multi-billion-dollar franchise. My
right,
God,
yeah,
all the toys, I think they were like Star Wars. I
they
mean,
still sell.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean that it's just one movie, and they're generating billions of dollars just on that one property. It's insane. But yeah, I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, anyway, thumbs up for me for Finding Dory. Again, maybe I shouldn't say I just found it okay. I thought it was a very good movie. Didn't think it was Finding Nemo great, but still a very good movie for me.
Yeah, it's a definitely a two thumbs up for me. And again, it's probably the only review that I will ever give that doesn't give it like 5 out of 5 stars because it didn't make me cry. Like seriously,
It's so
like
crazy.
it's so fucking weird. Like I've never reviewed or thought about a movie where it's like, I'm a little upset that this movie did not make me cry. Like that's just weird. Like you'll review
It's weird.
things like superhero movies like, I wish Superman punched, or I wish, Superman didn't kill, or I wish like, they did this action wise. But I've never ever gotten on a movie and said, I wish they made me cry.
Yeah,
Never.
man, I'm right there with you, man. And I thought it was going to happen. Like there was like a part in the movie where I thought, okay, this is where it's going to happen,
Dude,
and
they
then it
got me
didn't
in
happen.
they got me in the third trailer. In the third trailer, when Nemo turns to Marlin and says, "Are we gonna have to say goodbye to Dory?" I'm like, "Oh my god, you're gonna make me cry in the trailer." Like,
Yeah,
and then it didn't happen, and I was like, I'm upset that I didn't cry. I even told my fiance, I was like, if it gets to the point in the movie where it's like all emotional, don't even fucking look at me.
don't judge
Like,
me.
yeah, don't look at me. Just look at the screen. Don't even look at me. You already know I'm crying. Don't just don't acknowledge the fact that I'm crying like a little baby.
I've brought onions to the theater. It's not me.
Yeah.
No, it was good. It was good. And I look forward to more Pixar stuff and more Disney stuff. But anyway, well, that'll do it for Finding Dory. That's episode 30 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
Until next time, chew on that, folks.
Later.